Curse words and sarcasm were used in the making of this video. Hello, welcome to Potty Both Crafter Society and Salty Card Creations. With you today, I'm actually going to do a real-time one here. I don't usually do them. I have all the coloring done. Most of the pieces are cut out and pretty much ready to go. It is an interactive, so if you like interactives and you want to learn how some of them are put together, this is kind of what we're going to do today. So this is what I would call a reverse pull tab, and we'll get into it in a little bit. But for this one, I am using an array of stamp sets from Ink Road. So I'm using the Kick Like a Girl stamp set. I just need the You Got from this one. I am using the Cheeky Tea, the Talk Dirty to Me on this one. I'm using the teacup, maybe the tea bag. Did I use the tea bag? I think I used the tea bag on the envelope for this one. And then of course a sentiment on this one for the envelope as well. And then I used Stiff One Volume 2 for the Teeny Weeny, and the Amelia alphabet for the rest of my inside sentiment. So, and the 8-Ball Spicy add-ons. We'll get started. So everything's already been, for the most part, cut, colored. I have a couple of pieces to color and a couple of pieces to stamp. So before we get started, I have all of my pieces here for it. I'm going to start with the card base because, you know, after I've done it, I tend to have, I've done this one multiple times, so I tend to be a little bit better about, you know, order of operations and what I probably should have done first as opposed to last in the ones that I made previously. Yeah, we'll go with that. So I'm going to start with stamping out my sentiment here. I'm going to use VersaFine Onyx Black for this one, or at least for this part of it. So I've already laid out my sentiment. I usually lay out my whole sentiment. I decided, I'm using two different sets, so I wanted to stamp one set first and then the other set, so I ended up removing, and then it just makes it easier when I do the stamping to kind of do it in two takes. Because I have two stamp platforms, it's easy for me to switch out, so I just didn't pull this one out. I just left that one, and then of course just bringing in the other one. So yeah, if you don't have two, you just have to pull your other stuff off and realign it. So this one, I wanted to do the G's in a little bit lower, so of course just how it worked, and then to add them in a different color I thought was kind of fun. So for this one, I am going to pull in Tailored Expressions Macaroon. It's very similar in color to Close to My Heart's Gypsy, I think, color. So therefore I can kind of, or not Gypsy, I think it's Petal. It's either Petal or Gypsy, I can't remember. I think that one's Petal, so it's probably Petal that it's closest to. My Lawn Fawn ones are, my Close to My Heart ones are starting, some of them are starting to dry out, and I don't have ink refills for them, so slowly working on trying to find colors that are close to the ones that I love the most and go from there. So for this one, I'm going to be able to put this already, this piece can already go on the front. I'm going to try to remember to cut this out before we get too far. Remind me if I forget. I know you can't remind me, but it sounds good. So I'm going to glue my base down right away. And so this is just going to be my card front base. And then I'm going to set this on top. A, it's going to hold it in place. B, it's going to remind me that I need to use that before we get too far. So for this one, this panel is my actual front piece, or where my mechanism is going to actually work. And so this die here is from MFT. It's their slider die. I'm pretty sure it's meant for this function. I can't find a like die anywhere. If somebody wants to make it and mass produce it, that would be great. It comes with two different ones. So there's this one that's a shorter one, and then the set was two and it had a longer one, but it really just has two little slits here and there. You can do it with a like paper cutter, like the, I'm trying to think what kind of paper cutter it's called, like the slider paper cutter where you just move it. You just need a tiny slit there. You can do it with the scissors, so you don't technically or necessarily need the die for this one, but we're going to use the die on this one. So I'm going to run this through the die cut machine and we'll be right back. Okay, so we've run it through. You see it just cuts the two little slits there. So these slits are, if we're using this one as a guide, that's 11. So 10, 9, probably about 9.5. So about 2.5 inches apart. I don't want to say it had to be that wide, but it works nicely. The thing for this one to work that you're going to need is a strip of plastic. I prefer to use the heavier duty stuff. So if you have the freezer bag, like Ziploc freezer bags work better than, I think this one is just a regular Ziploc bag, and it's kind of, you can see it curls, it's kind of flimsy, it just isn't the greatest. This one is like a 2-gallon bag that I had. It's off-brand, but it's just a heavier piece of plastic, or you know, so a heavier bag for this one is kind of what we want. And then you want it to be cut a little bit smaller, narrower than your opening here, and we're going to end up inserting both ends into maybe into those slots and pull that through. And so we're going to have just, we want it straight on the front. We don't want any seams on the front. Now for this one, we're going to bring in some score style tape. And we're going to put the score style tape up towards the top. I want to get as much movement with this one as I possibly can. So I'm going to trim off my little flap that's hanging down here. I don't really need that, because any extra piece is going to kind of cause issue when we're trying to get things to move. You also don't want to make it tight. You kind of want to keep it a little bit looser. You want your ends to kind of line up, but you don't want it to be over the top tight. And I'm going to cut off that extra piece. So this way you can see that it'll move up and down without catching, because it's so tight. It's not pulling, it's not overly tight. You should be able to kind of lift it a little bit. You don't want it super tight. So I want this piece to be all the way up to the top where I have my piece of tape and my plastic connects. Then we're going to come in with a pull tab. So I'm going to go and trim. You can use a pull tab style die cut if you want, like the pre-done ones. I'm just using a strip of paper that was cut to 3/4 of an inch wide, and then a length that I knew that was going to be probably longer than I needed. I cut multiples of them. I am going to double this one up. This is close to my heart paper, which is maybe 65-70 pound weight. If I would redo this one, I would definitely go with like 110 pound weight on my pull tab, just because it's going to give you a whole lot more strength when you're trying to work that mechanism. Doubling it really does help. It's just not as strong as I think the other. So the other thing with this one is I want to make sure that it's hanging out just a little bit down here. I don't want it hanging out a lot, but I want it hanging out a little bit. The other thing that we're going to do before I get too far. So this is what I didn't do in my original, was line it up on my card front exactly where I want it to be. And I'm going to take, this one is the close to my heart version. They do have one from EK Success, I think, or maybe Hero Arts. I will link it down below if I can find it. I just purchased some for a friend, and so I know they make these again. It's the thumb punch. We've been looking for the close to my heart replacement for a couple of years now, and so the fact that I found it again, I was pleased to see it. I know a lot of people that have seen mine are like, where did you get it? And yes, they don't make this one anymore, but they do make one through, it's either EK Success or Hero, so I will link it down below. So, and this is where my thumb strength is lacking. Okay, 4 pieces of paper. Well, 3. The base is thick though. So I'm just going to cut that. So I already have my notch in there. This is going to save me or you headaches down the road. Ask me how I know. That's why not all of them got the notch on the actual card front. So you can take that purple piece that punches out and you can glue that onto the inside if you don't want it to be white. I might do that later on. We'll see. I haven't decided yet. The other thing is, I should have probably thrown this one on there at the same time because this is going to cover up that piece. We're just going to come in here, maybe, and do that at this point. And yes, it would have been another layer, and I don't know if I would have gotten through all of those layers at once. So just lining it up will work just fine to get that top piece to have the same notch, matching notch on it. So let's go back to our mechanism. So I want this piece to be all the way at the top. I'm going to have this one, I don't need it to hang out a whole lot, right? I just need it to kind of hang out a little bit so you can actually maybe grab it or pull it. If you want it flush, you can definitely make it flush, especially if your card front is going to be, like if this piece is going to be a full A2 panel, you're going to want it flush here. I'm going to pop it down just a little bit. I kind of want it sticking out. Now this is going to be hard for you to see, but I'll try to explain it. I have Close to My Heart's mini attacher. I know Tim Holtz has a mini attacher. If you have just a regular staple gun that you can wiggle in here, this is the best way to do this. So I'm going to get it underneath that plastic piece and my piece of paper, and I like to do 2 staples towards the top. So you can get away with 1 if you want, but this is gonna help hold that in place. I don't have to worry about it ungluing itself because of the plastic piece, and it just seems to be the best option that I've found for that one. And the same goes for the rest of our pull tab piece. So I have my little tea bag here, and so this doesn't work as great as I wished it did. Because I used a thicker cord here, it might get stuck, and so that's something that you need to be aware of, and B, just kind of understand that it's a possibility if you're using a thicker one. If you're just using a die cut shape, you wouldn't have to do the front staple, and that's where I think I struggle with this one, is with the front staple. It doesn't always like to go back underneath, and so just keep that in mind, or keep your staple above this line here and you'll be okay. So for this one, I want to put this piece here, and this is why I ended up with the staple, because of the string. If you weren't using a string on this type of mechanism, you wouldn't need the staple, I don't think. But I want to make sure that I'm covering all of the little gel or glue, and then because I have the string in there and I don't want it to not hold, I'm just going to come in here and give it a good old staple, maybe. And this should hold this hugged in place well. It's also going to hold up this piece on there, but you should be able to do this without a staple. And the other thing with this one is you can make them meet. So if you would have glued it, let's see, I have another one somewhere. If you're going the other direction, this is how you can get things to meet in the middle. So you would have this piece cut here, and you would attach one to this piece and one to this piece, and the one that's on the back is of course going to be sticking out, but they'll go together or they'll go apart depending upon where you have them placed on your string. So if that makes sense. If somebody wants to see that, I will do it in a separate video. I'll figure out a different card for it. But ultimately, this just makes it go up instead of, so when you're pulling down, your image is going up. So that's why I call it a reverse pull tab. I don't know if that's the actual name for it. That's what I call it. So for this one, I'm gonna come in and do, you can, if you have enough room here, you can definitely do a little holder to hold like a, I don't know, what's it called? The little piece of paper that folds over and holds your pull tab in place. I just use foam tape because it works for me. Let's see. I'm gonna go, I think I did Big Mama foam tape. Hit it with all the things I just threw over there. So you could go with a little bit thicker. I went with Big Mama foam tape just because it's thin. It's probably the 1 millimeter thick foam tape. You could definitely go with a 2 millimeter here. Just keep in mind that it's gonna get thick because on the front we're gonna have to go with a 3 millimeter probably foam tape for our card front to kind of, our mechanism and our card front on the front side to do what we want it to do. And if you put it on and you decide, oh, I don't want it to be able to be pushed all the way in, I want it to end up here, go ahead and put foam tape on top to stop it. I don't need it. I'll be fine with it because I have it positioned properly. Or at least on this one, you know. When I say, you know, if you do something beforehand, you figure out a couple of the things that maybe didn't go well on the first 13 cards. Okay, it was only 10 or 11, but you get my drift. So I'm gonna kind of line it up on top, just making sure that it hits down here where my actual pull tab position is. I could have probably come down with it a little bit, but it's fine. I can still get my finger in there. So we're good to roll. So yeah, it can go all the way up if you want it to. You know, it's mailing wise, it's not going to matter. So we'll probably go here with it. And then we have to add this piece in. So this is where we're going to want to add that foam tape in. And I think this one is the 3 millimeter one, maybe. So I'm going to come in and do the edges on this one. Keep in mind we want to not get in the way of our moving pieces. And this one's a fairly narrow one, so it's not like we have to leave a whole lot of room there. The other thing is we don't want to not support the middle. Ask me how I know. So if we don't support the middle, it's likely that it's going to get caught up here. So I am going to come in here and kind of figure out, I can probably put 2 lines right here. That's going to help hold up my middle part of this one, just to kind of hopefully not let the bottom part here get stuck. we're gonna set that there so I don't have to find a spot for it. And we'll glue this one down. Okay. Stay up there, please. No. Okay, we won't then. Oh, I also used, we'll get to that one. Okay. So I'm going to line this up on the front here. It's like my coffee table piece or my tablecloth piece, however you want to look at that. And then we're going to come in with our teacup. So for this one, I want to make sure that my teacup is going to cover up this line here. The other thing that I do is I cut the top of my teacup open so you get the, it looks like it's actually coming out of the teacup. So for this one, I need to make sure that I'm above that line. Everything's hidden. So I kind of know where my placement's going to be. I can put my foam tape on my teacup this way. Again, making sure that I create that little channel there for my little tea bag to move inside of and not to be hindered by. I again took all of, I'm just going to take this and tape it up here. Just taking a little piece of washi to keep things in place that are supposed to be held in place. The other thing, I'm just going to add a little bit of glue right here. I don't want to do too much there. I don't want to get glue on my moving piece, so I'm going to not put it on that part. And this just helps me to kind of figure out my placement a little bit better. I don't have to worry about it hitting in the wrong spot, like if I decided to go down a little bit or up a little bit. The other thing I'm going to do is take the back part of my teacup once I have my teacup in place. I'm going to pull that down here, but I'm going to come back in here and line this one up with the original lining so that way it looks like my teacup has an opening in the middle. You don't have to do this step. This is me being extra because, it's what I do. So once I have that done, at this point I want to tape down my little tea bag piece here. I want to tape it down at this, or glue it down at this point, because I know it's gonna fit going this way, because the string will go up, but it's not gonna, which will make less, I don't know how to explain it, but if you know, you know. It's when it's going up, it's gonna be coming out, so I'm not worried about it stretching, but going back in. So like if I wouldn't have had it, if I would have had it up when I placed it, I could have placed it down here. Well then, of course, my little guy would have been stuck here instead of being able to go all the way back in. And this one, you probably, wouldn't have had to put them so far down on there. And of course, we're gonna get stuck because I'm trying to do it without editing. So I'm just gonna pull this away a little bit. Please don't be a little dick. Go in your home. Why? Oh, why? My little, okay. So to fix this, we're gonna come in. This probably isn't the right tool, but whatever. I'm just gonna come in and kind of push this piece down. I was hoping that we fixed it by doing our other, come on, there you go. So I just had to wiggle him a little bit. He's fine. He's just being difficult, little guy. So there we go. Now he is moving freely up and down again. I probably should have put the bumper on the top, but we'll be okay here. Okay, so once I have that all done, I'm content with that one. I'm content with the other. I need my sentiment. So my sentiment I already cut out. I embossed it on some green, cut it out, and then we will place this one. Oh, come on, you were open for 10 seconds. Okay, 10 minutes, but you know what I mean. Why, oh why? I can't hit the hole. Good Lord. Okay. Okay, so glue on the back, sufficient amount of glue on the back, and then I'm just going to put this one over on the side. You could have put it maybe coming in from the other side, a full strip, depending upon what your sentiment was. This one was just kind of a square sentiment, so I'd opted to go this way. I figured it's on the opposite side as my tea bag. This one is probably the shortest of all of the ones that I did for the tea bag things. I just ran them through, tied a knot, cut them about the same length. This one ended up just being shorter. And then I will cut off the overhang there. I didn't put enough glue here. So we'll put that on. And we have the Talk Dirty to Me, Go Suck a Dick pull tab. If you want, you can definitely go with the little pull sentiment. So I used I think it's MFT's interactive labels. Fawn has interactive labels. Sometimes just certain stance sets have like a pull if they're meant to be interactive. I'm sure there are other ones out there. This is just the one that I have and tend to use frequently. So I'll put the pull on there. Lets the recipient know what they need to do. And then it says, Talk Dirty to Me, pull. It's still wet, so I'll try not to smudge it. And of course, little Willie pops out with his Go Suck a Dick mantra for the day. I love the tea bags that have the little fun nice sayings on them. Anyways, and then it says you got teabagged on the inside. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I hope it was informative enough for you. This one, the hardest part is trying to figure out the distance. So on my trial and errors, a lot of it is me laying this piece over the top and figuring out, pulling this one all the way down and seeing how far out he's going to be. And then you want him, on this one, you want him to be above, you want your stamped image to be above your top line, so it's going to come and stick out the top. I hope that makes sense. But if you're doing it on the side, it would be making sure that your image is going the direction you want it to go, depending upon where you put it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Hit me with comments if you have any comments. I did do coordinating the envelopes, so from one old bag to another is what I did with the envelope there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Have a great rest of your day. Go have a bag of tea or something. Try not to get teabagged today. Okay, I hope you enjoy. Bye.